Islam Misunderstood, a book by Imam Amin Refaat. Episode 1. Islam is one of the most discussed religions in the world. Yet, at the same time, it is also one of the most misunderstood. For many people, Islam is not known through the Quran. It is known through stories, inherited traditions, politics, and headlines filled with fear. In this series, I want to invite you to pause, to step back, and to look again, not through the lens of sects or clergy or power, but through the book itself, the Quran. Because when Islam is taken from the Quran, directly and honestly, a very different picture appears. A picture of freedom, of justice, of personal responsibility, of peace that begins inside the human heart. And in this first episode, I would like to explain what Islam really means, why it became misunderstood, and what this journey is about. Let us begin. What does Islam really mean? For many people, Islam is imagined as a system of rules, punishments, and control. But the word Islam itself does not begin with fear. Islam means surrender. Surrender not to another human being, not to a ruler, not to a religious institution, but to God alone. It means aligning your heart, conscience, and actions with what is right and just. Faith in the Quran is not blind obedience. It is awareness. It is reflection. It is choosing truth when truth becomes clear. The Quran constantly invites the human being to think, to question, to reason, to use the mind that God has given. Again and again we read, "Do you not reflect? Will you not understand?" This is the foundation. A believer in the Quran is not a follower of men. He or she is a seeker of truth. How did Islam become misunderstood? If Islam is so deeply connected with reason and conscience, why does the world see something different? The answer is simple and painful. Across history, religion and power became mixed together. Kings, rulers, and religious authorities needed religion to justify authority. So interpretations appeared, stories appeared, books appeared. Slowly, religion moved away from the Quran and became something else, a culture, a set of inherited habits, a political instrument. The message of the Quran was no longer the center. People stopped asking, "What does the Quran actually say?" Instead, they began asking, "What does this scholar say? What does this tradition say? What did our ancestors do?" When religion becomes inherited tradition instead of conscious faith, it becomes heavy, it becomes fear-based, and it becomes easy for extremists and tyrants to abuse. But the Quran keeps calling the sincere heart back. Return, reflect, read. Islam and freedom of conscience. One of the greatest misconceptions about Islam is the idea that it forces belief. Yet the Quran states clearly, there is no compulsion in religion. Faith in Islam is a personal journey. You cannot force faith into another human being. You cannot threaten someone into belief. God does not want slaves of fear. He wants human beings who choose truth freely. This is why accountability in Islam is individual, not based on tribe, not based on sect, not based on what others claim. Every soul stands before God on its own. And this is a message of dignity, Islam, and peace. Another misunderstanding is the idea that Islam glorifies violence. In reality, the Quran describes peace as the natural home of faith. The word Islam is connected to the word salam, peace. The true believer is someone who resists injustice, but does not love aggression. Someone who stands for what is right, without becoming a mirror of evil. The greatest struggle, according to the Quran, is not a war outside. It is the struggle inside the self, against ego, against arrogance, against cruelty, against hypocrisy. When the heart becomes just, society slowly follows. What this series will do. In this series, we will go step by step through key ideas. We will challenge inherited assumptions. We will compare belief with the Quran. We will try to separate faith from culture, politics, and superstition, not to attack, not to provoke, but to clarify, so that Islam can be seen again as a message of guidance, conscience, and moral responsibility. At the end of each episode, you are invited to think for yourself, agree, disagree, reflect, because real faith is born through understanding. Closing. Thank you for listening to episode 1 of Islam Misunderstood. In the next episode, we will explore how religious authority developed and how it shaped the way people started to see Islam. If you would like to listen to the full audiobook version, you can find it on Amazon and Audible. And if you find this series meaningful, share it, subscribe, and continue with the next episode. Until then, peace be upon you.